Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, hockey fans and enthusiasts everywhere. Welcome to another edition of In the Crease. It's the only hockey show in the Burgh, probably in the whole world, that is brought to you by hosts who are not constantly repeating mantras from the Pens PR office, nor are we spewing the Bettman Initiative, the place where you can go to get real, honest-to-goodness hockey news. I'm Fiore, and with me, as always, Bob Nelson. Bob, welcome back. We are in the thick of things as far as the Stanley Cup playoffs are, and we're going to start the show by talking about our predictions for the run for the Cup. We washed out the first round. We were exactly even on our picks and our losses. But before we get
You'd have been one up if you came to the dark side and picked it.
Yeah, I would have been, but I tell you what, I followed all the hype. I really thought the Penguins were the better team. Boy, that they get snookered there.
You were reading Bob Aries' notes.
No, I
said you don't follow him.
Never stoop that low.
You were drinking the yellow Bob Aries Kool-Aid.
I would never stoop that low.
What, Staggerwell give you a coupon for a free haircut or something?
Hey, before we get started on the predictions, we've got to say hello to another friend. On the last show, we talked about Pete Aubrey, who has stopped by a couple of times, been on the show, and some good things are happening with Pete. And now some good things are also happening to Carrick Davis.
Who?
Well, I was just about to say, you better explain to everybody who Carrick is. You were kind of sort of his mentor, so you want to give a little rundown?
Don't throw that on me.
Yeah, I am going to throw that on you. Want to go ahead and run that down a little bit on
Carrick,
how people would remember Carrick?
Carrick played at Shadyside Academy.
He did indeed.
Then went on to Ohio State, where he didn't play any hockey for his freshman year. Mm-hmm. Then got an opportunity to come back to Pittsburgh to go to RMU.
And he did.
You know, he was on the D1 team, whether it was first goalie or third goalie. Made the team for a few years. Played a year on the club team. Went to St. Mary's, played D3 college hockey, and then went away for a little bit and, you know, had a little cup of coffee and a couple pro teams. Sat on the bench for the Reading Royals for a game, emergency goalie. Played a few games up in upstate New York, we'll call it, because it's right on the border of Kingston and New York.
Sure. So he's had some pro experience. And my understanding now is he's been invited to try out for a European team. I don't believe it's the same league that Pete played for.
No, it's a teardown, but it's a good opportunity for him.
It's
coming up pretty soon.
He's going to be trying out for a European team, and we certainly wish Carrick a lot of luck.
And he still does his goalie school. He
is doing a goalie school. In fact, I think it starts up this month locally. And the nice thing about it is, I think anyway, Carrick, and I was talking to him the other day, strangely enough on our Facebook page, I was talking to him the other day, and he said that he plans to run this school pretty much the way you used to run your goalie schools, old school fashion. He's not going to go into all this goofy, you must do this blocking, you must do this butterfly, don't do skate save, don't do this. None of that, propaganda from the guys who want, 6'9", the big show size goaltenders. He's going to, teach a goaltending school, stop the puck.
Yeah, and he's got a lot of good help. I know your son's going to give him a hand when he comes back to the Burgh. And Travis from Mount Lebanon is going to give him a lot of help. Yeah. And, he keeps trying to suck me out of retirement coaching, but I don't think there's not enough money to get me back out there to coach.
I don't know. I think Carrick might be able to
I have a few students I'll help out, but,
So we want to say hi to Carrick, and we certainly wish him well with his goaltending school. If you have some young ones who are thinking about going into the goaltending position, wanting to play hockey that way, you might want to look it up. I believe he's teaching in Mount Lebanon, if I'm not mistaken.
He's teaching all over the Burgh.
Oh, is he really?
All over. Westmoreland County, Allegheny County. If you have a net and ice, he will travel.
Now, that's great. So look up for his camps, and I think everything is...
and come on our Facebook page, and we'll try to get a website or a phone number for you on our link up at the Facebook page for him.
By the end of the week. That'll be a lot of fun, because he's a good kid, and if he's teaching old school, he's teaching the right way. So that's a good thing going on. Okay, so enough about Carrick Davis. Let's move on to our predictions for the Cup. As I said, we washed out on the the Pittsburgh Philly series was it was an absolute crime. I just
it was a crime that Pittsburgh survived and won 2 games out of the series. That was my crime.
I couldn't believe the absolute nonsense, folks. If you don't believe that we have the absolute worst NHL announcers in the league, then you're drinking some kind of Kool-Aid here that must come from the waters down at the point. That's
The only
all
thing-
I can tell
The
you.
only things worse than the announcers are the officials.
See, there was a game that ended up 8-3 Philly. It was a Donnybrook of a game. And at the end of 2 periods, the score is 5-5. And that idiot announcer that we have says, there's been some great goaltending in this. You've had 10 goals scored in 2 periods. Yeah. What are you talking about, great goaltending? Tell me this stuff doesn't come right from the Pens PR office. Whatever you do, don't talk bad about Fleury.
The beautiful thing about it is, like, in game 1, they had a 3-0 lead. And they're talking about, oh, man, Fleury's just phenomenal in that right now. And all of a sudden it's 3-3. They're still saying he's phenomenal. You had a 3-goal lead. Whether the first goal was offsides or not, you still had a 3-goal lead and you couldn't hold it.
Yeah, there's a big problem in there. In fact, maybe we ought to drop right down to number 4 on our outline. Let's go back to 3 because we're talking about it already. When the series with Philadelphia ended and all was said and done, they came out in the paper and they start talking about the big 3. Crosby, Malkin, and Stahl.
Are you sure? I thought it was Fleury, Nelson, and Nelson.
That would have been the big 3. And while I mentioned this, I was just, the other day I happened to be going through some old tapes, and I saw one of the games that we broadcasted for Bethel Park Hockey back in the day, when Bethel Park Hockey really had, was the premier program, because we were there.
Yeah.
And I listened to the game, and I thought, my God, this was entertaining. I mean, I knew the outcome of the game and everything, but I still enjoyed the game a lot. And I still say, even if you take some of those games that we did for the high school or the junior A teams that we broadcasted for, put them up against anything that they've done professionally, locally, we win hands down.
Well, here's the bottom line. When you're talking about announcing a game, for example, the people are watching the game. The true hockey fan knows what the hell's going on. Right. You gotta ad-lib it a little bit. You gotta make it fun for the fan because they see the game. Yes. They want to hear something interesting or totally off the wall. Like the Mama Sasa call. Right.
Right.
I mean, they don't want to hear, oh, well, Joey has a grade point average of 3.3. He's got the puck right now. Who gives a shit? We don't care you got a grade point average 3.3.
So they come out in the newspapers and they're talking about, but you're right. You're absolutely right. We knew how to call a game. We still do. We'd still put them to shame. If they would put Bob and I in the broadcast booth for the Pens one game, it would be over.
Yeah,
it would be over.
I don't think
the Pens office would hate it.
Oh yeah, they you know what? But sometimes
negative. They'd be telling us talk good about Fleury. Yeah. We're going, he sucks. What do you?
but isn't that your job as a person broadcasting to tell what you see, to tell the truth? Where's the credibility of these announcers?
It's not there anymore. All they want is PR. All they want is... Hell, Steigerwald was the PR director. He got shoved into the color commentating job with Mike Lang because the Pens had a policy that whoever was head of public relations was the color man. Remember Terry Schiffauer?
Yeah.
Schiffauer had English as a second language. You couldn't understand half of what he said. I don't even know. And that's how Staggy got into that thing. And the only reason he's the TV guy now is because he accepted a salary lower than Lang wanted.
Plus, he did their internet site for free.
Yeah, so
that's what a birdie told
All right, enough about the business, because we can talk about that over libations afterwards. Let's get back to this thing with Malkin and Crosby and Stahl. And the articles came out saying, oh, what are the Pens possibly going to do here? Because, all 3, we can't keep them salary capped. But you have some different ideas there.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the
they
first
Stahl out to dry.
Yes, absolutely. I thought Jordan Stahl played the best out of the 3-headed monster. If you're talking about the 3 centers in the playoff series,
yeah.
They don't realize that Jordan's going up against everyone's first line.
Yeah, that's true.
He kills penalties for you. He also works on the power play. So
of course, of all the Stahl brothers, I don't think he's at the top. I think he's kind of, fair to middling.
I would say all the Stahl brothers bring something equal to the table. If you put them all together, I think they'd have one fabulous hockey player. Right. But I think they each do something pretty phenomenal. I think Eric's the scorer. Jordan's more the defensive forward that can put the puck in the net. They both got great size, but I think the best stalls out of them are the one that's not even in the NHL yet. He's still in the junior ranking.
Right?
He's the youngest of the four, because everyone knows the youngest child is always going to be the most talented, because they have the older brothers that beat the heck out of them and learn from all their mistakes.
Sure.
So I think the youngest stall is going to be probably the most elite package all the way around, from defense to offense to positioning, because he's seen his brothers make those mistakes and he can learn from them. And since he's so young, he's usually the one that gets picked on the most. So from that, it makes him a lot tougher than what maybe the oldest one that's always getting hammered, because you got to set the right example.
Sure.
I mean,
So you're thinking the Pens get rid of Stahl? That's a mistake.
I absolutely think it's a big mistake.
So who should they dump?
If
they really have a cap.
I mean, my personal opinion is either go two avenues. Either go the Vancouver Canuck Avenue, and they blame Roberto Luongo for all their woes, and he said, oh, okay, I'll release my no-trade contract, which, if that's a point, it's off the three-headed monster, then you're saying, Fleury, it's your fault, because when push comes to shove, who gets blamed when the puck goes behind you?
It's the goalie.
And if you're telling me how bad, and I get a lot of emails, how bad the Philadelphia Flyers netminders are,
right?
Well, the Flyers beat the Penguins, so what does that make the Penguins goaltending?
Right.
If you're telling me how bad the Flyers goalies are, and they were horrible.
Well, yeah, Brizgalov went into the second round with, what, an 87% save percentage?
So if you're telling me how bad they are, then what's that make a number one pick overall?
Yeah.
Your franchise goaltender, what's that make him?
Right.
But you're not going to go that way, because you have no depth in goal. Thiessen cannot play like Fleury.
Right.
That's quite obvious. Obviously, I think Baussman got out-coached, so that made the defense and Fleury look that much worse. He wants to put the puck in the net. So if you're going to take one player, and I know people are going to blast me on Facebook, but go ahead and blast me on Facebook, because history repeats itself. You got to deal 87, Sid Crosby. You got to deal him. And this is why. He's going to get the most return for you, especially if you trade him to a Canadian team, first and foremost. Number two, he's one hit away from being LaFontaine or Eric Lindros.
Yeah.
Okay. Number three, are you going to pay him or Malkin? Malkin has proved that he is a playoff superstar. He won a Conn Smythe. He won an MVP of the season league.
Yeah.
Okay. What has Fleury did, or what has Crosby did in the last couple years? Nothing, except being injured. You're going to pay him $9 million to possibly play 20 or 30 games for you? His head's still not right. His neck's still not right. He will not be the same player that he was. And you can hand me, he's averaging 1.2 points a game, whatever, when he's playing. What the hell did he do in game 6 of the Stanley Cup playoffs when he got outplayed by a guy who, in my opinion, is equal to his ability right now in Claude Giroux? Giroux, big hit on Sid, scored the first goal of the game, rallied his team, wearing an A on his shoulder, came out in the media and said, I like pressure. I thrive on pressure. Our team will do well in game 6. Guess what he delivered? Did you hear Sid saying that? No. And you can't, I mean, I hate to say it, but do I think Malkin and Sid are the same type of players? Yeah. Do I think Sid and Malkin's the same type of player as Stahl's? No, you need that second line guy to be like Jordan Stahl. Put the puck in the net, good defensive guy, Ronnie Francis type guy. When the Penguins won the Cup, did they have Lemieux, another guy like Lemieux, and a Ronnie Francis, or did they have Lemieux and Francis?
Right.
So
yeah, that's exactly right.
You get rid of Crosby.
Yeah.
Then you can get your wingers. You can get a legitimate backup goalie, and maybe you can get rid of one of those two defensemen that cost you $5 million that I told you on the show were both bad signings.
Like Paul Martin?
Martin and Mahalik. They're both bad signings.
Yep.
So if you're going to trade one of your 3 elite players, you better make sure one of those two guys are in there, because $5 million is a lot for a guy that's a minus 12.
That's right. That's right. I never liked Paul Martin from the get-go, so kind of reminds me of, who was that? Grant Jennings, remember him? Yeah. I got to disagree with, here's a surprise, disagree with Bob once again. I think Sid still has some benefit. If he comes back and plays, I think an 80% Sid Crosby is probably better than a lot of guys at 100%. I firmly believe.
But can you pay him $9 million to be 80%?
Well, it's $5 million for 2 more years. I understand, but you still have you build a team from the net out, and I think Fleury has consistently shown that when the bubbling point is on, he wilts. He's as we've said on the show before, he is a solid Class B goalie. He is not your starter.
Plays down
not
to
somebody
competition.
anyway who could yeah, something like that's my phone, which should never ring. It's something that should can give you good solid goaltending, but can't kick it up that extra notch like Emerald, bam. And now everybody
I thought that
points,
was Gary Bettman texting you saying, stop
probably
flashing
is
me.
good. That's probably something from the pens off. Who's Tom McMillan or somebody saying, you can't talk about our players that way. Yes, we can, because you don't pay us. Everybody points back to the Stanley Cup against Detroit, and they talk about, what about that great save Fleury made at the end with the glove? That save is exactly the same save that Frank Pietrangelo made.
Yeah.
And they call it the save.
To give it back to Barrasso to win this series.
It's right. He shot the puck right into the glove. The goaltender didn't have to move. In fact, you see their face. The puck hits the glove, reflectively goes like this, and then you see him look. Same thing happened with Fleury.
Well, if you want to go back to the Detroit series,
Yeah.
a third-line guy that they didn't want to pay, who basically told the Flyers how to beat the Pittsburgh Penguins. He's the one that won the cup
He had
for
both
a
goals.
borderline third-line, fourth-line guy.
Right.
I mean, Detroit proves that you can win with a second-tier goalie. Chris Osgood,
Yeah, absolutely.
Bernie.
Yeah, absolutely. I just think the problem is in nets. You can keep Fleury if you want. I mean, he's expensive. But I think you need to bring in a quality goaltender. Brent Johnson was probably someone who could push Fleury back in the day when he was playing for St. Louis. But Brent is past that now.
See, to me, Brent, I didn't think he was good in Washington. I didn't think he was good in St. Louis. I think he is a tier 2A, tier 2B goalie.
I think he made St. Louis a lot better than they actually were.
I
You disagree?
Yeah,
Well,
I think.
Okay, but the bottom line is he's too old now to take a starting role, and I don't think he could play for that in that starting role. So you need a quality netminder in there for the Pens.
They're just not out there.
Well, I think there's going to be a lot of guys that are on the block, and I think there are going to be some guys who will not play well with their current teams, but if they have a change of scene, things can things can change for them. They need a new lease on life.
Well, here, I'll give you a prime example. Ty Conklin's not a number one goalie.
No, he's not.
He was in Pittsburgh. He played pretty well as a number two guy.
Correct.
He gave them a good mix when Fleury got healthy in that
He
playoff
did, but
run.
this year wasn't he
Okay.
sent down to the minors
Yes.
because he couldn't even keep the
Correct.
Yeah, right. So,
No, you're going to get a bunch of guys like him that were, even Marty Turco, I don't think anymore in his career it can be a number one guy. He got to be a number two guy. There's just not a lot of number one guys that are going to come to Pittsburgh
yeah,
that are going to be young, like Fleury.
yeah.
And I think they're going to ride Fleury just because of his age. They're going to take their lumps with him. And they're going to continue to take their lumps with him because he's still one of the youngest starting goalies in the league.
That's true. And back in January, February, we were reporting on this show that Fleury was giving up about a goal every 8 shots.
Yeah.
And that's certainly not pro caliber. In fact, there are a lot of high schools in the neighborhood that wouldn't even accept that as a goaltender stat. So Fleury has got some problems, and I don't know if it's a Gilles Meloche problem or what the hell it is, but we better get on to our predictions of the Cup here. Otherwise, people will. You want to weigh in on this, argument
Absolutely.
with Bob and I. Bob says get rid of Crosby. I say change the net. And I'm not necessarily saying dump Fleury, although he's got a hell of a contract. To be like a second or a 1-2.
It's hard to get a guy that can play goal for
Right.
$1 million too to be your number one guy.
Right. So log on to the Facebook account. We'll put up the URL here. It's www.facebook.com/inthecrease, and you can weigh in on the subject. Maybe we'll put up some pictures there of Sid and Fleury and see what kind of comments we can get, and run it from there. I think they have to build from the net out, and they got to revamp that defensive core, and then and let us know what you think. Do you think Bob's right? Get rid of Crosby now before he becomes a liability, or change from the net and go from there? Or maybe you agree with all the other reporters in town and say, get rid of Jordan Stahl, and that'll come back and bite you in the
Yeah,
ass.
absolutely.
It
I mean,
definitely
hey,
will.
Edmonton got rid of Wayne Gretzky and they won the cup the next year.
Yeah.
That's all you need to know.
There you go. So we go on to our predictions for the second round, and we're going to carry this all the way through to the cup just to make it interesting. First round, let's talk about the East. Washington is playing the New York Rangers. New Jersey is playing Philadelphia. Is there any doubt who Bob is going to go for in the New Jersey-Philadelphia thing? Philly does look pretty strong in this, and they've got an edge. But you know what? I'm going to go against you just because it's freaking Philadelphia.
Okay.
Take
your lumps again.
I'm going to go with Marty Brodeur.
Take your lumps again.
I see this as an upset. And I got to tell you this, too. You know, way back in the beginning of the season, before the first puck was dropped, I said it's going to be Boston and Washington in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Boston who?
Boston's gone.
Boston who?
Boston.
Wait a minute.
Washington.
Boston's so horrible they couldn't even beat the AC Capital.
Hang on. Boston.
Oh my God.
Met Washington in the first round. I thought it was a great series. If that had been the Eastern Conference series, I'd have been happy with that.
The honeymoon hangover.
All during the year, I got nothing but abuse. People were telling me, haha, you picked Washington. They're not even going to make it. Ovechkin sucks, yada, yada, yada. You know what? I'm still sticking with Washington. I think they are going to come around and they're going to beat the Rangers.
You know why Washington's winning? Because Hunter's benching these soft forwards that he has.
Yes.
In defensive third period positioning.
Yes.
Ovechkin's ice time has been cut down.
Yes.
And
it's working.
But here's the bottom line. Okay? What do we always talk about? What's the show called?
In the Crease.
Okay.
It's the guy in the Crease.
What's a better goaltender than Henry Lundqvist? I'm sorry. Hopi who?
I knew you were going to bring
He was a Hershey Bear at the beginning of the season.
And I'm going to tell you, like I've told everybody else, Lundqvist is playing phenomenal. I will not deny it. I hate the way this guy plays. I do not like goaltenders who stand on their crease and then try to react to it like that. That's stupid.
But he stops the puck.
And
he stops the puck.
Unless he gets into the cup this year, I will stick with my prediction that Henrik Lundqvist is the Roberto Luongo of the Eastern Conference. I feel an apple coming. I'm picking Washington. It doesn't even matter who wins New Jersey, Philly. I'm picking Washington all the way into the cup.
Okay.
Bottom line.
Well, you see how...
You think Philly's going to get all the way to the cup? Seriously?
No,
really?
Because I don't think they're going to get by the Rangers.
You think it's going to be Philly and the Rangers?
I think it's going to be Philly, Rangers.
And the Rangers are going to get in?
I think it's going to be L.A., Phoenix.
L.A., Phoenix.
You see the shirts.
Yeah.
And I think the Rangers are going to play the...
Game of their life.
Kings in the cup.
Yeah, and
I think the Kings are going to win. And I think Holmgren's going to get fired because... He traded Richards away to L.A. He traded Carter away to Columbus. They end up in L.A. and win a cup.
Well, when we talk about the East...
St. Louis is, in my opinion...
Okay.
Not enough goal scoring, like I said at the beginning. I don't think they're going to get...
They had enough to get into the second
I don't think they're going to get by L.A. L.A.'s got everything going for them. They got good defense, great goaltending, good forwards. They're playing like a team. Their coach has been coaching phenomenal. I think Phoenix is riding Mike Smith all the way. They can't score on them. Yep. Nashville's got a Vezina Trophy winner, and he's getting outplayed by a concussion guy that doesn't even know his name and Mike Smith.
I think the Vezina Trophy winner lives in L.A. I don't think...
I'd like to say that, but I think Rene already got it.
I don't think Pekka Rinne deserves the Vezina Trophy. I'm sorry. In the West, you know what? I almost agree with you because I think the series between St. Louis and L.A., that's the cup guy right there.
I just don't think St. Louis can outscore the L.A. Kings, and I think they both have good goaltending.
Yeah, they do.
And they both have a good defensive team. They both have good coaching, but I just see L.A. just, it's the Hollywood team. I mean, these guys are drinking the Kool-Aid, the silver Kool-Aid, and they believe that they are the best team in the NHL right now.
Right now, they have the best goaltender.
And I think Mike Smith has another concussion. I think he thinks he's Ken Dryden in the Stanley Cup playoffs.
I think it's going to be L.A. and Washington, and I agree with you. I think L.A. This is L.A.'s year. I think they're going to take it. But you know what? Let me play devil's advocate here for just a minute. Let me just throw this out there, and then if you want to comment on it, do the Facebook thing. We've been talking about how convenient it is that certain teams win the cup right when they need to, and we were questioning whether or not there might be maybe a slight finagling going on.
That's why I feel the Rangers are going to get
like
to the cup.
WWE, right?
That's why I think the Rangers are going to get to the cup, because what's the two biggest markets left in the playoffs?
That's correct.
They don't want Phoenix in the playoffs,
right?
The cup final. They don't want St. Louis in the cup final.
But
they would like LA, and they would like either the Rangers or Flyers, because that's a big market media there.
That's right. But Bettman has been having a lot of problems in Phoenix. He wants that club to stay in Phoenix. And there's talk about them heading over to Kansas City. There's talk about them heading up to Ontario. There's big talk about that. And it seems like it's going to happen. They've had that stadium filled out for all the playoffs games, something they haven't done during the regular season. And if there would be a fix-in, don't be too surprised if Phoenix gets into the cup. Not win the cup, but gets into the cup.
Okay, but don't you think there'd be more TV revenue to be made if it's LA, New York?
Probably, but it's all about promoting the sport in cities that Bettman wants.
Yeah,
not necessarily.
But I also think Bettman wants more money under the TV revenue. So if he can produce an LA, New York cup, I think that would make him much more wealthy than having his dream team go to the cup final.
It's just been very convenient.
Because if Bettman has his way, he'd want Phoenix, Washington. Because he wants to promote Ovechkin, because he doesn't have Crosby to push around, because Crosby's been out most of the year. Right. Ovechkin underachieved most of the year. Right. So that he needs a poster boy to lead the league. Well, Ovechkin has some flash to it.
Let's wait and see what happens. Do you know Adam Sedini?
I played with an Adam Sedini in street hockey a long time ago.
Probably the same guy. He's our winner. You know, we're not only the best hockey show going on in the Berg, we're the one that rewards you for watching the show. Does another show do that at all?
I just hope Adam Sedini can give us his address so we can send him the prize.
There you go. Do you know what he won this time around? What were we giving away? Like hats and
t-shirts
bottles
and
all
a
that
squirt
stuff?
bottle played again.
And if you're sitting there scratching your head saying, what in the world are you talking about? Bob, tell them what we're talking about.
We do a promotional with Play It Again Sports, the only Play It Again in Western PA right now. Mm-hmm. It's up in Greensburg, 724-834-1121. Not just for all your hockey needs, for all your sports needs. Mm-hmm. We take trades, consignments, exercise equipment, anything. Give us a call. And the ownership gave us some sponsorship stuff, and we like to give it to our winners. The only problem is none of our winners sent us the information to get it to them.
You know what we'll do? We'll keep it down here at the studio, and you can just come down and pick it up. We'll have a prize package waiting for you. Come on down to the studio and pick it up if you want to keep your addresses.
Do they know where our studio is?
Like well, we should probably tell them. We're right in the municipal building of Bethel Park, right on, I think it's 5335.
And who should they ask for?
5100.
Oh, 5100? Where did I get that other number? I don't know where that came from. 5100. Thanks, Dave. That's 5100. 5100 West Library Avenue. Come on down. You know what? We're right across the street from Bethel Bakery. You got to know what Bethel Bakery is. It's Mitt Romney's favorite bakery in the entire world.
If you don't know Bethel Bakery, you're going to hell.
That's right. There's no hope for you. Your soul is damned forever. Come on across the street from Bethel Bakery. There's the studio. You can pick up your prize. Adam Sedini is our winner this time. Do we have the same prize, or we have something different this time?
We have a nice hat.
Okay.
I believe it's an Easton hat this time.
Nice.
And a Bauer t-shirt and a Play It Again water bottle.
There you go. So that's what it is. How do you win? Glad you asked. Just get in touch with us on the Facebook page. Every time you register a comment or like it, we throw your name into actually, it's this goalie helmet right here that we throw them into. And we pull them out just before we go on to the show. Adam Sedini won
the one
today.
That Fury wore in college. That's how old that mask is.
I didn't wear a mask in college, I have you know.
Well, we can tell. Look, we can tell.
That is all the time that we have for today, so we have got to skedoodle out of here. The next show, we'll tell you how we're doing on our predictions and see how much more of the Penguin triple-headed monster saga comes up. Talk about our goaltenders as well. Until then, on behalf of Dave, who is screaming to us through the headsets to wrap it up, Bob here, and of course myself, remember that when it comes to hockey, if you're in the game, you're in the crease.